So for me, it was, going in and direct messaging every person I could get a hold on the team through LinkedIn, getting their attention through that. And then them actually telling me like, oh, look at how eager he is, right, to actually get into this system, kind of showcasing that from the beginning. And I think that was one of the things that helped me as I went to the first, second, and then third round interviews.
A lot of you have asked me how to break into tech sales without sales experience, without tech experience, and/or without a degree. And it's why I'm really excited to share Ivan's story with you today, who at the age of 19 recently broke into tech sales. I know for many of you that may feel that you have unorthodox experience and/or just want to look at someone who really set themselves apart at every single stage of the interview process. We dive really deep today, not only into Ivan's background, but also the things that he really did exceptionally well throughout the process to really stand out and land a great tech sales job with a less conventional background. There's so many great takeaways from our conversation, and I know you're going to get a lot out of it. Ivan, congratulations again, and thank you all for your time.
Well, hey everyone, really excited to be here with Ivan, who has an awesome story breaking into tech sales. Ivan, I know you took a ton of our material and really made it unique to yourself. You really took everything we had and went running. So I know people are going to learn a lot from your experience. I'd love to kick it off kind of from the beginning. You have a background that we've seen before, but I would say is not the most common. Yeah. So kind of where were you before deciding to go into tech sales? And that'd be a great place to kick it off.
Yeah, I would say that I was kind of trying to figure out, where I wanted to go in terms of a career. So I was straight out of high school and actually still in high school at a technical college doing electrical software engineering courses, trying to learn more about tech and just was kind of interested in that side of things. And I was also working part-time, like actually at a bakery. We did some sales stuff there, but kind of just from my background, learning a little bit more about like what tech actually looks like, kind of trying to figure out where I wanted to go. And I just kind of saw through that I was drawn towards like the people aspect of things as well. So I enjoyed kind of the software stuff that I was going through and kind of just got drawn towards sales. So I started looking online for different courses that I guess could kind of help me out in that direction to see like what starting out in that actually looks like. And kind of stumbled upon a couple things, but kind of the interest, I guess, was just driven by I like communications, like people, like psychology, things like that as well. Those were always classes that I took in high school and in college as well. So yeah, I would say it was in tech stuff before from like an engineering standpoint, but kind of wanted to shift and pivot in terms of what I actually wanted to go into for my career.
Yeah. An awesome background, like always, just kind of being in and around tech is a unique advantage that some can have if they're going down that path. Yeah. But going into sales certainly still presents its own challenges. It's not a one-to-one match. So when you started looking at potentially investing in a boot camp, had you already decided, yes, tech sales, and you started applying? Or was this, you recognized right away you wanted some assistance on that front? I'm just curious kind of your mindset at that time.
Yeah, no, my mindset was kind of like this, like I'm going to either invest in a career through college, which will be thousands of dollars of an investment going into debt, or what I can do is I can start a career and I can invest in the skills that are required to first get one of those positions, but then also excel. So I think that I kind of just took the mindset of, look, I want to invest in myself, but I don't want to be crippled in debt, and I want to have a career that I'll enjoy and that I can see the outlook of success that exists there. I have a couple different friends that were in sales, not tech specifically, and they had kind of taken a specific route from high school and being in college. So I ended up actually dropping out of the community college I was in and investing in different sales training platforms, one of them being Tech Sales Ascension, because I was interested in still kind of taking my experience in software and tech, but then applying that to a sales role.
Yeah, and I'll jump in here too, Ivan. I'm curious, like whenever you started looking and whenever you started telling yourself like, hey, I'm interested in some coaching, some training, externally, like what was it about higher levels in particular that kind of piqued your interest? Like, obviously you're a smart guy. I have no doubt in my mind that you could have figured this stuff out on your own, like throughout longer duration of time.
Possibly. Not too cool.
But what was it about higher levels in particular that made you say, hey, this makes sense. This is something that I think would really help me out?
Yeah, I think because I first stumbled upon Eric's content actually on YouTube when I was just researching different stuff about like, what does an interview process look like, right? What are practical steps with a resume for someone who doesn't have a lot of past sales experience. How can I kind of formulate that in the right way? And I actually discovered his content through there. And I just have to say the free content, I think, is super helpful and helped me out a lot in terms of just what exists on YouTube. But then I said, hey, let's go ahead and take it to the next level, because I want to invest in this so that I can give myself the best shot. And when I saw kind of just like the robustness and like the dedication from just the videos that were being put out by you guys, I was like, man, this is someone who I think is kind of dedicated towards helping people getting into this role, but also is showcasing like real value. Because I think there is a lot of fluff that exists out there just in general, because everyone's trying to catch your attention with different things. But I think I saw in some of those YouTube videos on resumes and just what tech sales looks like is this something that's worth it to you? And to me, it kind of just piqued my interest, and I saw kind of the dedication that you guys had on that end. And that's why I ended up going ahead and just investing in the course.
Well, yeah, and kudos to you. I mean, you absolutely crushed it as well. I think your background is very, very interesting in the sense that a lot of folks, without that like pedigree or background in tech or sales, they have a really hard time figuring out like how to position themselves. Was there anything in particular inside of the course where you felt like you got more value out of it than some of the other material, perhaps? Like, was there anything where, you really just felt like you got an edge?
I think it's going to be just watching those role plays that you guys did with the interviews, and then also the way to actually just look at what your resume should be. Because like Eric was saying, like, and Chris as well, you don't have to have prior experience to position yourself as someone that can succeed in one of these roles, right? Especially because from a recruiting standpoint, they're going to want to see you put the information that you have and the background that you have in terms of sales, as position yourself as like you're selling yourself, right? Like you're selling yourself to the position. How would you go about pitching yourself? And seeing you guys kind of go through that in the role plays, and then also in like the guided resume builder and templates and stuff like that, that stuff's super helpful for me. At least that was the things that I think not just gives you the security that those things are actually going to be what they're looking for, but also in terms of it just gives you that confidence to go out and say, I'm secure and I'm ready to take these interviews. Now let's go do the first step of that initial outreach that actually will, start that process.
And credit to you. Obviously, you took it and ran with it. I mean, obviously the material is very extensive, but also, I think we maybe spoke only a handful of times on our live calls, and like you really went after it, and I think really locked in. I'm curious too, you did mention, looking at numerous different platforms. This isn't necessarily a better or worse. I'm just curious, honest opinion on how, Tech Sales Ascension compared to some of the other offerings that you took in the space.
Yeah, there's a lot of fairly decent platforms that are out there. I would say that in terms of like the robustness that exists and like specific to the tech sales path, I think that that's one of the things that I was looking for, because just like in sales, right? Like when you're asking questions and when you're inquiring with different people, you want to be really specific and focused. So the same thing should exist when you're looking to acquire a new position or, possibly move into a new role. You want to be really, really specific. And I think I saw in Tech Sales Ascension that it's very focused to exactly tech sales and what that process looks like, coming from people who have gone through that process and have helped other people, hundreds of times. Like there's a lot of testimonials for a reason. They kind of speak for themselves in that regard. But I think just the focused nature of the course and what it actually is aiming to do, which is to get you a position in tech sales. And I think that's exactly what it does.
No, that's awesome to hear, and really, appreciate the feedback, and would love to have you brag about yourself now. Because I think this perspective is really valuable for anyone that's watching, maybe wondering what they might get out of it. But now, I'd love to talk more about the results. And a unique thing compared to many of the folks we speak with that land jobs is you've actually been in the seat for a while now. Maybe briefly set the stage of the job that you landed, and I'd love to hear kind of how it's gone in your initial couple of months.
Yeah. So I got a position at a software company called Aspire. And essentially what we do is we're helping landscapers, contractors organize their day-to-day through moving a lot of their data into the cloud so that they can stop spending so much time, just working in the business and start, working on it from the outside, give them a lot of their time back and help structure their day. And so far, the experience has been awesome. I think that I really hate to say it, but it feels like I kind of struck out right on my first one in terms of like, this is probably one of the most like cush SDR positions that I think exists out there. And it is in person. So, I'm going into an office, have a really great young team there. Managers are pretty cool too. So yeah, it's been pretty awesome. I'm getting to the point now where I'm like around 3 months into the role. So still in a ramping period. And I've learned a lot so far. And I think that, breaking into anything new, it's going to come with its own challenges, right? So there's going to be new things, different things, but you kind of face those head on and you just dive right in. And yeah, so far the experience has been it's been really cool.
I mean, I think what I want to dig a little bit deeper into is maybe even like the process of you getting to that role in the first place. Like, could you walk us through like, what was that like? And you mentioned that you kind of struck gold the first time around, but like going through that process for the first time, what was that like? Like, what'd you learn going through that?
Yeah, and when I say struck gold right around on the first time, I mean like for the first interview that I got, because the first stage of trying to make yourself stand out when you're applying to a job is going to be, how can I separate myself from everyone else who's applying? And something that you guys teach is, if you want to stand out, there's a lot of different things you can do, but you have to actually do them. So for me, that was picking out, 4 different companies that I'm going to target each day, and I'm going to apply, send in my resume, message the sales managers, heck, maybe even the head of sales at that company, with specific messages tailored to each one of them that are different, that are, they're not super long, but they're just different, so that everyone will see the message and they'll say, hey, who's this guy? Did he message you? Oh yeah, he did. Looks like he's looking for, advice on this role, or he's looking to talk to someone who's in the position, right? Messaging people who are on the team, writing those customized messages out. And I think I went through about like 10 companies doing that or something around there. And then, eventually got replied and kind of went from there into the first round interview. And one of the things that the recruiter told to me right away was like, yeah, all the people on the team, they messaged me right away and said, man, get this guy in for an interview, right? He's really eager. He really wants to check out the position. So that was pretty cool in terms of that first process. Kind of going from there, it was about, in the second round interview, I met with 2 of the business development managers there. And in there, I would say I really tried to position myself as someone who knew a lot about what specifically it was that they do at Aspire, but also someone who was ready to be coached and to learn. And I think that's what a lot of people will look for, especially with an entry-level role. You're not going to know everything coming in, especially if you don't have a lot of past experience. So understand and present yourself as, I'm someone who's coachable. I'm someone who's going to, come in, look at the top guy, and I'm going to do twice of what they do, right? I'm going to come in and I'm going to try to put myself ahead in the best position that I can, so that I can hit the goals that I've set for myself, and kind of trying to express that to them and show the value in that. And I think that that's one of the things that allowed me to get to that third round interview, which wasn't in person. So I went into the office and met with the team. Great experience, and ended up getting the offer the next day. So that's kind of what it looked like for me. But yeah, so when I say strike gold, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Still have to put in the initial work, but it definitely does pay off if you're willing to be dedicated and use the resources that have been given to you.
And maybe even like from a timeline perspective, this is a question that we get a lot from folks out there who don't have as much experience, right? They're always wondering, like, how long is this going to take me? Like, maybe walk us through the timeline of, when you actually started applying these processes and these workflows. Like, how long did it take you from doing that until you eventually, had an offer in your hand?
Yeah. And, I think that's really going to depend person per person, right? Like, how much do you want to put into it? Because the resources are there, they exist. You kind of have to take hold of them. And then at the end of the day, go out and do the work. So for me, one of the guys that I really admire, his name's Alex Hermosi, and he's a little intense sometimes, but he talks about how what you need to do is get out a timer, set that timer for like, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe even 4 if you're crazy. Maybe you can even do that, and just put it on, and then focus on that task. Focus on applying to jobs for that amount of time. really put in that work. So for me, I think it took me around, I think it was around a week to when I got into that first round interview, because every day I was like, man, I really want to do this. So for me, it was 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour a day. Maybe you only have 30 minutes on a day, you got a day full, but just focusing in that time and really putting in that work to get to where you want to be. And if you do that, who knows? It could be a week, could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right? But it's going to depend upon how much you actually want to put into it. But I would say that it's definitely possible to do it very quickly, even if you don't have, all the experience in the world.
Nice. Yeah, I remember just seeing your message inside the platform, and you were like, "Yeah, I have an offer," and I was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa!" Like that was extremely quick. But no, that's super exciting, man. It just speaks to like your character, and I love the the time blocking aspect of it too. I do like the Pomodoro technique from time to time as well. So like blocking off time, taking a little break, and so forth. But I guess like even on the other side of it all, now that you've gone through it, you were successful, love the workflows and everything else. I guess like if you could go back in time, or even for folks out there that are watching, considering tech sales or wanting to break in with, little to no experience, is there anything you could give them, now that you've gone through this entire process, or anything you could give your younger self where you feel like, hey, this would have really like moved the needle? And you've already, delivered so much value, but I'm curious outside of everything we've spoken about.
Yeah, I would say don't allow yourself to give yourself easy excuses that you can't. So I'm 19 years old. Like I was 19 years old when I landed my job. I'm 20 now. I was 19 years old. When I went in for my interview, everyone was like, "You're 19." I know I have a beard, so maybe I look a little older now, but they were telling me like, "Man, like, how are you doing this?" Right? Because all my colleagues, gone through college. I mean, not all of them, but degree, applying when they're ready, when they come out, but don't allow those things to stop you from getting where you want to go. Like, be undeniable at the end of the day. Just be undeniable. Like, you will succeed if you do that. Nothing's going to stop you as long as you do the work that you know that you have to get to where you want to be. And for me, that was just going in confident. It's like, yeah, I know I'm young, right? But I'm here because I want to show you that I can get the same results that your top guys do because I'm willing to put in that work. And I'm willing to show you that based upon all these things that I did to get this interview. And that's really what they're looking for. So if you show them how you prospect to get the interview, how you're going to prospect once you have the job, that's going to showcase your level of dedication to actually succeeding when you get into that role. But I would say at the end of the day, yeah, just work hard, do your best. And I think that if you allow yourself to do that, you're going to find the success that you're looking for.
Dude, I'm ready to run through a wall. Like this is awesome, man. I haven't heard this intensity in a while. Like seriously, this is great, man. And I think for whoever's watching, like there's so much value here and everything you talked about, and great to see your experience.
No, yeah, I mean it's the ability to just do that. Like I've gotten to this role. It's awesome, and my coworkers, some of them, they think I'm crazy because I'm making double the dials, right? I'm talking to double the people. I'm working later. It gets me so motivated because it's like I know where I want to be, right? And I'm willing to keep investing in myself, both in terms of skills, practicing, role playing, training with my other colleagues, and then on my own, but also the side of it, which is like, there's nothing holding you back but you, right? So if you're willing to go that extra mile, it's like you're going to be recognized for that, but you're also going to prove to yourself that you can do it, right? I think that that's, at the end of the day, the most important thing that I want to do. It's like I know I'm capable of these things. I'm the only one holding me back. So sky's the limit. So let's go for it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Ivan, this was an awesome conversation and like really refreshing perspective, to be honest. I like love all the students we have, but when people like yourself come in and absolutely run with it, it's very motivating and rewarding. And first and foremost, congratulations to you, by the way. I'm not here to stroke my own ego. Like I love to see it, and very excited to see where the future takes you, Ivan. But appreciate the feedback. And 100%. Unless there's anything else, man, have a great weekend. Thanks for the insight as always.
You too. Yeah, I appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good one as well.